the more I keep thinking about it, the more I find you pushing against it.
Yeah.
Or like your need for it.
Pushing against my need for it?
Or pushing against the idea that you need it.
I'm not trying to push against it. I just
know.
don't feel pulled towards it. And yet I do know that I need recognition. I need acknowledgement. I need to be seen and heard.
Right.
Mostly from you.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So the thing I keep thinking about...
And we celebrate very differently.
We do. And the thing I'm wrapping my head around is that that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back to In Residence. I'm Keith.
And I'm Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Keith.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. What's going on with you?
I got to go down to Madison for a work trip. There's a leadership academy that one of my team members was a part of throughout the year, and she completed it. And so I got to go and celebrate. And so that was a lot of fun to take the time out to go and recognize and celebrate an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's good. It's tricky for me, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, Father's Day. And I'm like, yeah, no. Like, yay. Okay, let's move on.
I'm like, well, let's celebrate you.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to do that on the entire episode.
That's true. You did say that.
So thank you. And yes. So how do we celebrate better? I'm just kidding. What else is going on?
No, I mean, that I think going there, it was a reminder to me that we aren't always very good at stopping and celebrating, even though that's really, really important. Even when I accomplish something that seems so exciting, I end up getting up the next day and I'm like, well, it's a Tuesday. And I don't really take a moment to pause, reflect, give myself a high five, give the team a high five. And why is it so hard to do that? Why is it so hard to slow down? Do you have trouble with that?
So slow down is different or part of celebrating to you?
Well, at least pausing.
Okay.
Pausing and saying...
Acknowledging
and saying, hey, we did this.
So you don't do that like at work with your teams and stuff?
I've gotten better at it. I often try and create a pause for people on my team, but I don't always create a pause for myself. And that makes me question how good of a pause am I actually doing for the people I work with.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if I'm just like, okay, on to Tuesday, no matter how much I mean saying thank you and like high five everyone, does that really
I get you.
Do it?
That brushes up against that efficiency mindset that I feel like we fall into with our work of how can I do it better? How can I do it faster? How can I get on to the next thing and the next thing? I like to take the downtime after a project.
Right.
For sure. Or like a trip. But I'm not sure that celebrating the accomplishment is part of that for me.
Interesting. So what does celebrating an accomplishment feel like to you?
I mean, it's been a while since you've gotten like a ribbon for finishing a race, right? Or a trophy at the end of a season of a sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
An awards banquet. Like that's what I think of a little bit, right? Like a certificate. So I feel like that's what you're talking about when you're talking about celebrating.
Well, that's probably like big celebrating.
Okay.
Like a big thing. But even like the small moments, I'm thinking when we were in college and we had different music performances after a concert, what did celebrating look like?
Probably food and drinks.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's
fair.
I try to not do that.
Food and drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do we need celebration? Do you need celebration?
I think I do more than I understand it.
Okay.
Right. But for me, I think it's like you're saying celebration, and what I think of maybe in this is I like melt things down into like their smallest little things, but it's like it's acknowledgement, right? That's what a celebration feels like to me. With the way you talk about it is like you're looking for someone to acknowledge the work you've done. Well, that's how I feel about it. And honestly, what I really think is like you really want like party favors and like noisemakers, and you want to go out to the club.
Oh, I don't want to go out to.
Well, your version of that. apps and trivia, you know.
Ooh, I wouldn't mind bingo or trivia.
Right, you
I
know.
do that.
I don't know if I need people to acknowledge me and to like.
But is it acknowledgement? I mean, that can be a part of celebration. Pausing and taking the time to say, hey, look, you did this. We did this. I think that's great.
Yep. No, I agree. I just don't know if I'm hardwired for that.
Yeah.
I think I'm more like, oh, check, it's done.
You're more kind of like intrinsically motivated.
Maybe. I don't know.
Have you ever had a moment where you were in a position where you felt like, wow, okay, this is a moment we should celebrate and I'm going to make this happen?
You ask me these kinds of questions and I'm really bad at answering them. Like your 40th, right? People's 50th. Like that's all I think of.
Like big birthdays.
I like where you're going, but I don't know how to answer that question. Like that, you can probably answer that question because I don't do it, right? Like I don't celebrate. Or I don't celebrate the way you do, you know? I don't know.
I think that's a intriguing concept. Let's dig into a little bit the podcast. So you were talking about every Thursday when the podcast gets released and it's done for the week and you're ready to take a big deep breath and go, ah.
Yeah.
What's the next thing that you do?
I wait for us to record again. And so I'm off the hook because there's not another one ready for me to get back to work at. Like if we had another one recorded by Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, I'd be ready to work on another one.
Okay.
But since we're not there again still,
yeah,
I find other things to keep myself busy besides working on the podcast.
So is that because you feel like you have a duty to keep going, or is that because you really love what we're doing and you can't wait to keep working on it, or both?
Bit of both. I like the work, so I wish I had more of it, but also wish I had more of it so that I could get ahead, so that I had more time to maybe pace myself and not feel like it's like, okay, it's Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to have some appointments and things where I can't work certain times during those days. So then it's really going to be Wednesday and it has to be done by that time because that's when I said it was going to be done so that I could go out on Thursday.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Getting like a little bit more of a buffer so I can be a little more strategic about how I'm spending my time or not be so overwhelmed if I have to be more flexible. So it'll allow me to show up better in all the areas of my life, right? With you, with the kids, with other family, friends. Things pop up. I can say yes to some things that maybe I wouldn't be able to say yes to if I had to stay all night working on the edit, right?
Right.
That's not to say I don't like the work, right? Like I like the work, but I think if I had a little more of a runway, I think I would be able to experiment a little more and get a little better or try different things and not feel like, well, I better not try that because if what I try, if it messes up, then I'm really going to be behind or I'll be in like a hole, right? That I have to dig myself out of versus if I have enough of a runway, I'll be able to like put the brakes on in time to stop before I run off the runway. Metaphor. That makes sense?
I think so.
Okay. Did I answer your question that had two parts?
They always have two parts.
I know. I don't need to celebrate every episode going out, by the way, either.
Do you give yourself like a little high five or anything?
A little bit. Yeah. Like,
Good.
all right, it's done. Awesome.
Woo.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't think I woo in my head.
You don't
like,
woo. Are you sure? I could see you as a wooer.
It's more of like a fist pump or something.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. That's great.
So I've been thinking about this and writing about it a little bit, but I don't know if I talked to you about it. When we release an episode, the next day is just like a big release for me, and I can be. That's my version of celebrating is like, oh, I can take a breath. But then after that, it turns into not just the next day, but then the next day a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it can even turn into the next day. And so I was writing and working through, not dismissing the accomplishment. I'm not that great at that either. I tend to be like, okay, and now what's next? Like when it comes to like tasks and to-dos, but with like longer term projects, like shipping the podcast, there's going to be another one. And I tend to take I feel like a little too much downtime, but it's tricky because on one hand, it feels like I'm being too relaxed, but then that also gives me room to like listen to other things and read other things. And so I do have this feeling though that I need to figure out how to make that turnaround happen a little faster. And I think that feeds into something else that we've talked about before, which is I'm always kind of looking for something to do, but where I feel guilty for relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm not even enjoying relaxing. It's just like how annoying is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I never really feel like I relax because I feel guilty about it, right?
Right.
And so it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So trying to find this like a mechanism or like something that triggers me into, okay, and now let's get back to it.
Right.
Like I feel like I just need like a little something that nudges me after I relax. I call it relax, but
Yeah.
like it could be celebrate the accomplishment because I think that's how I celebrate is like, okay, I can relax.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, what's the small little action in the podcast verse here that I can do that helps me get back into that? We need to create protocols, I think.
Only you on a topic of celebration will be like, I need protocols.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Gosh.
All right. Well, let's reel it back in here and you can talk about celebrating.
So today's Father's Day. We're celebrating you. And I asked, what do you want for Father's Day? What I'm thinking is, what do you want to eat? What do you want to do? All those things. What do you want for presents? If I haven't gotten them, I got some, but just, want to make sure they were like in the mix. What you answered was, I don't really care what I eat. And I want four things. I want someone to mow the lawn, which I did. I want somebody to clean the fish tank, child two's fish tank, which he did. And he wants somebody to clean their bathroom. And then you didn't want to have to do the dishes today.
Correct.
Because you do dishes every day.
Yes.
What I like about that is it's really important to think about what is it that meets their needs and their wants. Because I don't know if I would have came up with mow the lawn, clean the fish tank. I don't want to do dishes. Well, that's normally on my list too, but I don't do them normally. Normally I'm like, I like biscuits and gravy. I want you to get me flowers. And so I thought that is a really good list to really kind of encompass that idea of maybe sometimes it's nice to know how people want to be celebrated and understanding that instead of just jumping in and presuming you're going to want biscuits and gravy.
Right. Because I want breakfast burritos.
Yeah, I knew that.
Thanks for making that. It was good. I think we both appreciate acts of service, and I like the thoughtfulness of the gifts that you give. And I think you're thoughtful with it because you like gifts also.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at giving people ideas for gifts to get for me, right? If I want something, I get it for the most part.
You're tricky to get.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what are those boxes coming from Amazon? You're like, I got myself some stuff. I'm like, no, I could have done that.
I mean, it's a little bit of like what I asked for were kind of acts of service / don't inconvenience me kind of thing.
Don't inconvenience
like, don't make me deal with your messes kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you want to say it that way. Like, can I just not have to do the things that I don't want to do that I sometimes have to do because they need to get done?
Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking about leadership or building teams, working in an organizational context. There is an importance about celebrating with teams. As a team, you do need to take time to do that. Otherwise, it's just this day-to-day, go. One day turns into the next day, and they just blend together.
Right.
There's creative ways that you can do it, but sometimes the easiest way to do it is simply to show up, to make space for it.
Cool. You made me think of something.
I did?
Yeah.
Lay it on me.
You always say that we're a team.
We are a team.
So with that in mind, we went on a date night.
We did go on a date night.
And everything that you just said while you were thinking about why it's important to celebrate with like your work team.
Yeah.
Is something that we did last Wednesday together, going downtown and making time and space for our team. Right?
It's true.
So.
Oh, I will say though, I felt so guilty about leaving child 2 at home. I made you talk to him.
So you messaged me and
I did.
You go, I feel cute. Do you want to go to dinner tonight?
Oh, we don't need that on the podcast.
Oh, it's in there. It's in there. It's staying.
I did feel so. To my defense, I had a new dress. It was really cute. I was coordinating with matching sunglasses and a cute sweater. I felt really cute. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm just going to own it.
You're like, can we go out for supper? Or you might have even said, can we have a date night? And I'm like, sure. As long as I get the podcast done. I was trying to wrap up the podcast because it was a Wednesday. And about 3 minutes later, I get another like voice text, right? Like hands-free.
Hands-free, yeah.
Because you're driving home.
Yeah.
Hey, can you check with child 2 and see if that's okay? And I'm like, yep. So I go up and he was already making himself a sandwich.
Yeah, tuna fish sandwich.
He's already making himself dinner.
Supper of champions.
Yeah. And so text you back. I'm like, yep, let's do it. They're cool. And it's nice that you're concerned. I don't think they care. Like I would have even said, we'll bring you something back,
That's true.
Or we'll get you something, but like they're pretty easy and they're used to their routine. And sometimes they'll even say like, I don't want to go with you. It's like, oh, okay.
Like, geez, family supper night.
Yeah. So anyway, we went out. First place was really loud.
Oh gosh. They were doing bingo, normally my jam, but
I think we had a drink and a appetizer and then we're like, let's go next door.
We did.
And it was much quieter and we could actually have a conversation with each other. And one of my highlights of the last week actually is like we actually made it work, made it happen. So
I'm thinking about the Indy 500 because we recently went.
Yep.
But I think about Joseph Newgarden. He won the Indy 500.
Back to back.
Back to back. Shout out. Woo.
Yeah.
All the things that come with it. The drinking of the milk, the flower wreath, the victory banquet, the couple $1 million check, the flying to New York and doing the stock market, what is it? Opening bell. All of those things are like celebrating in tradition on steroids. How much is some of what I'm thinking when it comes to celebrating tied to tradition, routine, expectations?
Uh-oh.
And how much of it is simply taking a break and being like, woohoo, high five. Pew. Right?
Yeah. You said something really important there. Expectations.
Right.
We have different expectations.
That is what I was realizing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about even going back to Father's Day versus Mother's Day, your expectations were, don't want to do the dishes. Can someone mow the lawn? Can someone clean a bathroom? And can someone clean the fish tank?
Mm-hmm.
My expectations were,
shower me with all the attention and gifts possible.
Well, yeah. I think you got me 3 vases of flowers.
Flowers, make you breakfast.
You made me biscuits and gravy, fresh biscuits.
Mimosas. I'm sure what we probably...
Flowers.
I already said that.
No, but like a flower basket. You said go to the greenhouse and buy yourself flowers.
Oh.
I did that too.
Yeah.
Some of the things I wanted were like, I always want biscuits and gravy. I always want flowers. And maybe you do always want someone to clean the boys' bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of don't blame you on that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how I got back to that.
I don't either, because I wanted to talk more about expectations.
So let's talk about expectations.
You said expectations and tradition and some other things in there. But what really stands out are expectations.
Right.
What comes up for me, I think, the higher my expectations, the easier it is for them to be unfulfilled. I know that sounds kind of dour and sad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
But I think there's something to that.
You know, I go to the moon and back for you, right?
Right. But there's probably a history for me
Okay.
of unmet expectations that helped me learn, oh, don't shoot for the moon. Let's temper our expectations and not ask for much.
The concept of recognition, celebration, uh,
Acknowledgement.
Yep, that thanks.
Okay.
Acknowledgement. I know I say interesting a lot, but it is interesting. The more I keep thinking about it, the more I find you pushing against it,
Yeah.
or like your need for it,
Pushing against my need for it.
or pushing against the idea that you need it.
I'm not trying to push against it. I just
know.
don't feel pulled towards it. And yet I do know that I need recognition. I need acknowledgement. I need to be seen and heard.
Right.
Mostly from you.
Yes.
You know?
That's true. That's true. So the thing I keep thinking about,
and we celebrate very differently.
We do. And the thing I'm wrapping my head around is that that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking celebrate, or like take the time to recognize and be like, woo, job well done. But it's also making me think about it doesn't always have to be you've accomplished this big thing. Let's celebrate. It's almost more let's make sure we're investing in the relationships and teams all along the way. The big wins, the small wins, nurture it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, what you feed grows. I thought everybody knew that, but I said that sometime and someone's like, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I heard it somewhere. I didn't come up with it. That's why it's like, I got to tell myself, like, share, say something, be a contribution, because I might know it, but somebody else might not.
Yeah.
It's just like when you see like the top 5 best this or that, it's like, oh, thanks for making that list. There might be something on here I don't know about.
It's true. I love those lists.
Yeah.
I think as does most people.
It sucks you right in.
It does. Ooh.
So let's do some recommendations to wrap it up.
Sounds good. I have started reading a book called The Story Edge: How Leaders Harness the Power of Stories to Win in Business by Kendra Hall. It just came out. It's a book all about, again, stories and how important they are. She's the author of the book Stories That Stick, and I saw her do a keynote somewhere. She's hilarious. She's fun. And I really think it's important for us to keep remembering how important stories are to center ourselves. And so that is what I would recommend.
Cool.
How about you?
I'm going to mention Paul Scheer's book. I think I mentioned it before, but Joyful Recollections of Trauma. I finished it since the last time I think I mentioned it. It's good, about some deep stuff, but it's funny. Just a great memoir type thing to listen to. It's a great listen. I love his voice. And then the other couple things, you got me some great things for Father's Day. Notebooks. You got us one to hang in the shower, like we talked about. Like that's a bit of a Homer gift, but I love it.
A little bit.
The game, Dixit, that Karen recommended because she had us play it.
Yeah.
And so we got to play that with the kids. And so that was a lot of fun.
I think my favorite one was when Child 1 goes, the clue is Child 2.
Yeah.
I thought Child 2 was going to pee his pants.
He was laughing.
He was laughing so hard.
From the cards that we all played. Yeah. It was really funny.
It was very, very funny.
Yeah.
I like it.
Check out those books and maybe a game or something for yourself. All right. Let's get out of here. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Cut that out.